Today we're talking about Green Lantern Rebirth. Now I have to start off and say I am a huge Green Lantern fan. No, my butt doesn't itch. I'm just grabbing my wallet. Green Lantern wallet. I love Green Lantern.
You didn't wear your shirt today.
I didn't think about it until after I was already halfway here. I should have brought my Green Lantern shirt. So, but I do have my Batman on, and I got the same shirt on as last week because it's like 25 minutes later than we just recorded. So, but I put this on so people wouldn't know. But you just blew it. Dang it! No, I'm just kidding. So we're talking about it, and we're not going to go into all the details of like the plot and story because I've actually started up my own Green Lantern blog. I know, I'm obsessed. So I'm also doing one on Batman and Green Lantern, because that's what I always want to read when I go to the bookstore. Like I like other stuff. I love Avengers. I read Justice League, even though for the last like 5 years it sucked. Like I still read Justice League stuff, and but there's so much good Batman and Green Lantern. I'm starting blogs on them. So go ahead and just, the link will be on the screen. Travel over there, read the blog article, watch the video clip, and that'll be pretty much the summary of it. But instead we're going to be talking about something within it. But first I want to ask Jeff, what'd you think of it? Because you're more of a Marvel guy.
I am, but I'm not obsessed with the Green Lantern, but he is one of my more favorite characters of the DC universe. I mostly like John. He's my favorite Green Lantern. Mostly because like he's very precise. Like they showed him when they're making things. He's like has like the bolts and nuts and everything of every construct.
They made the comment about even the inside of his constructs. They're not hollow. They're actually all the mechanical stuff because he's comes from an architectural background.
His like confidence comes from like the precision and everything of it, and I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So if he was going to do a construct of a phone hitting you in the face, if you broke it open, it'd actually have all the working parts inside.
You'd probably actually be able to make a phone call with
rather than just like an empty hollow. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I'm more. So I started reading Green Lantern.
Like an iPhone slap.
Yeah, I started reading Green Lantern with Kyle Rayner because, of course, I wasn't old enough to be Days of Hal. And of course, they brought him back. This is what this whole rebirth thing is. So I started Green Lantern at issue either 99 or 100. But like it literally started with Hal, so I didn't even know the difference. Like it was two Green Lanterns, and it was like Hal had gotten pulled back from time. It was this weird kind of time thing. Parallax ended up showing up, and he ended up kind of fixing the time rift and stuff. But it was just interesting because that was my first exposure. It was Kyle and Hal, and then I went on and read a lot of Green Lantern, and then I got also to Superboy at the time, and there was a couple crossovers I read. So I was just a huge Green Lantern fan. I read it for years. I think I had at least 3 years straight of actual subscriptions, so I collected them for a while, and then I just started getting subscriptions every year for Christmas for like 3 years, and then eventually the book just took a turn I didn't like. I hated the artwork. I just disagreed with a lot of the stuff. It seemed like they were using the story to do like for political reasons. Like it didn't have. There wasn't even really a lot of superhero fighting. It was more of like,
which is rare for DC. They usually stay away from political issues because I remember
because they don't do it well.
Yeah, I've been reading X-Men for a long time, and doing the back issues and stuff, and it's been pretty much Marvel's
that's why it was made
for like gay rights and marital issues and societal issues and like just everything under the sun. If there was some kind of like major society issue, like X-Men was gonna have a special on
Well, and that comes from their origin of originally the X-Men were supposed to be a group of African American superheroes. They had a different name. They were going to be African American superheroes living in San Francisco, and it was going to be all about the struggles of being basically a black hero in the 60s. And of course the editor didn't like that, so Stan Lee changed it to mutants. They call them the X-Men. But that's been their thing, is they were created out of the desire of, let's talk about this kind of stuff in comics. And like I said, Marvel does it well, and the thing is, they got on this, since you brought up, they got on this this gay thing, because it was actually funny how it was revealed, because it was like he had this, because Kyle's an artist, and he had this assistant, and it was like, oh, he has a crush on my girlfriend, like, you know, because he had pictures and stuff, and it was like, oh, he's got a crush. Well, it turned out, no, actually he's gay, he had a crush on Kyle, so it was kind of awkward, because he's like, oh, I'm going to have to talk to him, because he's got a crush on Jen, and obviously she's my woman, and he's like, this is a kid, and so he goes to talk to him, and he's like, no, you stupid, I'm in love with you, and it was kind of awkward, but also
like, funny. That would be the most awkward, like, I could see that in like a One Tree Hill or something. Yeah. It's like, listen, sit down, alright, listen, I can see like there's some feelings happening, and I would like
stay away from my woman.
And he's like, don't worry, you don't have to worry about that.
I think he did say that actually. Don't worry, that's not. He's like, oh really? I think he was like all relieved. He's like, no, I have. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Oh man, that was.
So they're going through with that, and then of course they did this thing where like he got beat up because of being gay. There was stuff with that. That didn't bother me because again, they make the comic. It's their right to do whatever. Just like we do Geek Church, it's our right to talk about whatever we want to talk about. But where it crossed the line for me was they had Superman, and I don't remember the comment he made, but he made some comment where basically Superman was like endorsing, and it wasn't the issue of the rights of this person, because obviously, yeah, I think that's horrible that this kid got beat up just because he was gay by like two hick guys. I don't think it matters what, like, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely discriminatory.
Yeah, but the problem was like Superman wasn't like necessarily. It was like Superman standing there in his red, white, and blue, which is supposed to represent like the American way, like all this stuff, truth, justice, American way, and Superman's like endorsing like homosexuality, and I'm like, okay, really, you guys are gonna use Superman just to like? What if it was the opposite? What if like Superman was like endorsing like pro-life or something? Like people would be ticked off. So I just stopped getting it because the story had been sucking for a long time. The art had been horrible forever. Like I could hardly stand looking at it, and that's the whole point. Like read a book if you don't care about the artwork, right? So the art was horrible. It got confused. Kyle got really confused. He spent a lot of time flying around going, "Who am I? What's the purpose of me? Why am I the last Green Lantern? Oh,
turned into Spider-Man."
He basically, yeah, turned into Spider-Man without the quippy remarks. So the story had been bad for a while, and then just when they did that whole thing with like Superman, like it's good to be gay kind of thing, I was like, okay, Mom, you don't have to worry about renewing my subscription. Which I kind of regret because like it'd been cool, especially because it sucked for a while. But then after a couple years, they did this whole rebirth thing and it got really good, which we'll be talking about, which we don't have a lot of time to talk about. But anyways, there's some history on Green Lantern, I guess, and my history with it. But out of the story idea, again, go to the thing to watch the actual synopsis of the story and all that. But the central idea is, and you'll know what we're talking about once you watch the video, but the parallax entity, the fear entity, causing fear.
The fear parasite.
Yeah, the fear parasite. And he basically, there was a couple things where essentially, again, if we translate what was going on into this world, it would have been like a demonic spirit possessing people. So we're going to take a few minutes, literally just a few minutes, and talk about demonic possession. I'm going to start off, I'm going to lay down some ground stuff. I don't really know I have no clue what he's going to say. I'm kind of worried, so here we go. So the idea of, first off, just get out there, a Christian cannot be possessed. And it goes like this whole idea of like a filled vessel can't be filled kind of thing, but a Christian can't be possessed, and even like non-Christians, it's very rare. Like you don't really have to be worried about being possessed. It's not like in the movies or the comics. It's not like dead men can just jump into you, you know, and you can't just be possessed like super easily. The three stages, of course, there's depression, which you know possession, depression, and then if you don't deal with depression, it can move on to oppression, and the essential idea of that would be like you'd have to imagine. I don't know how literal this is, but imagine like having like a demonic spirit like attached to you in the sense of it's bothering you all the time. Like you've let the depression move on to where you've been assigned, for lack of better words, like a demonic spirit who's constantly nagging you. You're constantly down. It seems like Zoloft doesn't do anything anymore.
Yeah, it's like depression is where your body is imbalanced. Like you're not interested in what you used to be interested in, and you're negative a lot. It's just like a negative state of mind. Oppression is where it feels like everything is against you. Like everything from the outside, like other people and everything, they're constantly trying to force you like to feel bad, and they're trying to make like everything is like just working against you, and everything that happens, even if it's good stuff, like you always see the negative in it. You don't see like your entire like worldview is like skewed. Yeah,
and I'm not going to get really into the whole debate of depression being, is it biological, is it emotional? Because I believe it's a little bit of both. I believe obviously it can be biological. Best case of being like women like after or during pregnancy, a lot of that chemical stuff can affect them. But I don't think that's necessarily a scapegoat, because there are times where it's emotional, where you're just having a lot of emotional stress, and there's times where it's spiritual, to where especially like if you're a Christian or a ministry where it's just spiritual attacks where everything in life can be going great and it's just, you know. So anyways, we won't get into that too much. We don't want to pull a Tom Cruise and be like, where he, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he like attacked women and said something like about something to do with like hormonal stuff and periods and stuff is all a bunch of whatever, and like it was a big deal. But we're obviously not going there because I think that's stupid. I think like anything, it can be all of the above. Like a sickness, spiritual, or it can be both. Sometimes Jesus healed people, sometimes he cast out a spirit.
Sometimes it's just the fact that you haven't been taking care of yourself and whatever, and so your body's just like screwed at.
Like when I got sick from like not sleeping because I was only drinking these instead of sleeping. Yeah, that wasn't spiritual. That wasn't any. That was just that was stupidity.
That was just a physical.
Yeah,
your body just like.
Well, and then the last level, of course, being actual possession, and this is like I said, it's rare to get to. Like when a demon actually possesses you, can kind of like control you, take charge of you. Stuff like that, living with inside you. It's really rare, and it seems to me now, the three things I'm going to say is like the main things. That's not like a end all, but from everything that I've heard and read and seen and stuff, it seems like the three at least most common occurrences of it is of course like heavy drinking and alcohol, because that that opens you up. The whole idea of drugs is you're kind of losing control anyways. So I'm not talking about like you just do some drugs, like heavy drug and alcohol use kind of thing, and really abuse. And then the other, of course, is if you're involved in satanic stuff, then obviously that's one way to open yourself up and get possessed. And then also another one that people wouldn't, and we've talked about this in the past, people I don't think would realize, but another, probably one even more common than, well, at least than satanic, I'm sure the drug use is pretty, but would be actual like extreme bitterness and unforgiveness. That's another gateway to open yourself up. And definitely for possession and oppression, and then of course if you continue, even possession. So you gotta be careful. And I know that's not something that gets talked about a lot, but like I think that like a lot of society's problems is from that
fearfulness. People like, oh well, I'm scared of bees or whatever it is, and it progresses. Well, I'm not gonna go near flowers because I'm scared of bees, and it's like after a while, it's like I won't go to like anywhere where there's plants, because like the bees will attack me and kill me, and then it progresses to like I won't go outside.
You're talking about basically,
where
it's like a spirit of intimidation, just kind of continuing it.
And it goes.
I think your bee example was kind of a funny way to illustrate it.
Bees, bees was the first thing.
How did you get possessed? I was afraid of bees. Is it everyone afraid of bees?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. We go, oh bees, let's run through the plants of bees.
I used to do that. Like I'd cover up the hornet's nest holes and the gopher holes in the ground, and then you like until they get mad and you run as fast as you can away from them, and you get to a place where they can't get. Wait for them to calm down and go do it again.
Yeah, that's just called being a dumb boy. We've all done stuff like that. You're just stupid. You're like 10 or 11 years old and you're just dumb. You just do stuff like the same reason like you see a beehive and you throw rocks, or like, well, we didn't really have beehives around where we live. It's like I said, it's more like the wasp nest, It just, let's throw a rock at it. It's like three guys, like, you each have rocks, you take turns to see who can hit it. And then the first one to knock it down wins, kind of.
The first one to knock it down.
First one to knock it down wins, and then the slowest runner loses. So, yeah, just being dumb. But, with that, like I said, we just kind of touched on that briefly, because there's a lot of stuff in comics where someone, like, jumps into someone else. Now, like, your spirit, you can't, like, be a ghost. You don't possess other people. When you die, you go one of two places. And that all depends on your relationship with your Creator, with the Lord. So it's not, when we talk about possession, there is like dead men, that doesn't exist. That's not real. That's just in comics. Like,
or like the supernatural as the smoke jamming itself down your throat. That doesn't happen either.
Yeah. Now though, I have heard a lot. I've not seen it, but like our old pastor dealt with a lot of stuff. A lot of times where people are vomiting green, like Jello-looking stuff that disappears as soon as it hits the ground. But
they call it ectoplasm, several different things. But it's like it manifests itself in different ways, mostly just out of like fear-inducing.
Yeah. And with that, we are out of time. Send us your questions, comments, feedback, horror stories to geekchurch@gmail.com. Oh wait, we have a new one too. You can still use that one, or feedback@encounterdigital.tv. Oh yeah, we're super fancy. See you next week, where I have no clue what we're talking about. Oh, X-Men. You just gotta go read that.
X-Men, yeah.
So we'll see you next week. We'll be talking about if it's morally ethical to kill babies or not. Bye.